Very good morning. I welcome you again. This is the second part of the next lesson, that is lesson 1.5, The New Dress by Virginia Woolf, where she has really used to the full content the stream of consciousness technique. Now, here in this particular chapter, in the previous part, we have seen how Mabel Waring, a woman who wanted to showcase her dress, her new yellow dress at a party, unfortunately starts feeling that she is the world's most ugliest woman in a particular party. And she has no idea what's going on with her because here Virginia Woolf has used the stream of conscious technique where there is a continuous flow of thoughts. So, in the previous part, we have seen a number of things where she thinks that she is a fly, a house fly, who is sinking down by a cup and a saucer, while others are beautiful insects. Now, in this part, we shall be discussing the remaining part and we shall be completing this chapter. So, as we continue, I feel like some dowdy, decrepit, horrible, dingy old fly, she said, making Robert Hayden stop just to hear her say that, just to reassure herself by furbishing up a poor weak kneed phrase and so showing how detached she was, how witty, that she did not feel in the least out of anything. So just to reassure herself, reassure means to reassure means to just gain confidence that whatever she was thinking wasn't the same as it appeared to be. She wanted to just be sure that she wasn't looking that bad, but unfortunately, this particular character here, Robert Hayden, also couldn't say anything more as she expected. Furbishing means to furbishing here means to polish herself up, that she is not that weak or she is not looking that ugly, and to show how detached means she feels that she's not from this world now. Okay, anything of and of course Robert Hayden answered something quite polite, quite insincere, which is through instantly, and said to herself directly, he went again from some book, lies, lies, lies. So Robert Hayden's answer was something very quiet and polite, means he replied in a very insincere manner, means something like lies. She didn't feel that whatever he gave the answer was what she expected from him, but he was sincerely he gave the answer, and she said to herself, the answer may be anything, but she said to herself, lies, 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 again from some book. For a party making things either more real or much less real, she thought she saw in a flash to the bottom of Robert Hayden's heart. She saw through everything. So, whatever he said felt so unreal for her that she just made up her mind and she started mumbling things, means something that Robert Hayden didn't say, but she felt that he said lies, 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 and she felt that from the bottom of the heart she thought that he's a very bad person, cruel person. She saw the truth. This was true. This drawing room, this shelf, and this other false. Miss Milan's little workroom was really terribly hot, stuffy, and sordid. So wherever she was standing, Miss Milan's little workroom, wherever she was there, she felt that the entire workplace was really stuffy. Stuffy means it was one or the other thing was put in there. It was a small room, it was hot, it was sordid. So stuffy is actually like a thing that there is a less place in that particular place and you are trying to put many things inside. So that particular place becomes less ventilated and stuffy, it becomes hot. Sordid means that particular entire place was unpleasant. Okay, and many other things. It looked very dull. So it smelt of clothes and cabbage cooking, and yet when Miss Milan put the glass in her hand and she looked at herself with the dress on, finished, an extraordinary bliss shot through her heart. So even though so many things were there, and even though her clothes were smelling of cabbage cooking, she yet managed to make herself look good. Suffused with light, she sprang into existence. Suffused means to spread. She was in her heart. She felt that she was really beautiful, and with that light, she sprang into existence. Means she was there. She was aware. She was prepared there. Rid of cares and wrinkles, what she had dreamt of herself was there a beautiful woman. So even though of so many what do you say out shortcomings, that entire scene, the entire way she prepared herself was out of the box, and because of that her existence was there. I mean, she was looking really beautiful no matter how she looked. She rid of cares and wrinkles. Wrinkles means fold on clothes or skin. So she didn't care about anything. She only knew that she was a beautiful woman. Just for a second, she had not dared look longer. Miss Milan wanted to know about the length of the skirt. There looked at her, framed in the scalloping mahogany. Scalloping means a characterized by or possessing heavy floral ornament. A word coined by Virginia Woolf. So this particular word is coined by Virginia Woolf herself. So this word here is by Virginia Woolf herself, which means something which is heavily stuffed or heavy makeup, a type of heavy makeup. We can say that. So, a grey white, mysteriously smiling, charming girl, the core of herself, the soul of herself, and it was not vanity only, not only self love that made her think it good, tender, and true. Miss Milan said that the skirt could not well be longer. If anything, the skirt, said Miss Milan, puckering her forehead, considering with all her wits about her, must be shorter, and she felt suddenly, honestly, full of love for Miss Milan, much fonder of Miss Milan than anyone in the whole world, and could have cried for the pity that she would be crawling on the floor with her mouth full of pins and her face red and her eyes bulging, that one human being should be doing this for another, and she saw them all human beings merely, and herself going off to her party, and Miss Milan pulling the cover over the canary's cage or letting him pick up a hemp seed from between her lips, and the thought of it of the side of human nature and its patience and its endurance, and it being content with such miserable, scanty, sordid little pleasures filled her eyes with tears. So there are a number of sentences which are what is it, blended inside, which meant that Miss Milan was the only person who told Mabel that she was looking pretty. She was looking pretty no matter how well she looked in that particular dress. The dress couldn't be longer, and she was looking really well in that. So this was a kind of little relief for Mabel, that maybe she was looking little beautiful, which for some time, maybe for a little time, cheered her up. So the entire scene was quite different for her. Bulging here means a falling out. A canary is a type of bird, usually is a very small bird which likes to sing. Miserable here means bad conditions. Scanty means very less. Sordid means dull. So suddenly, Mabel's eyes were filled with tears, because at least there was one particular person in that entire party who felt that she was looking pretty. There was at least one person, that one person was Miss Milan, who thought that she was looking really beautiful, no matter how the color of the dress or how the dress looked on. So the entire scene was very nice for her. And now the whole thing had vanished. The dress, the room, the love, the pity, the scalloping looking glass, and the canary's cage all had vanished, and there was in a corner of Mrs. Dalloway drawing room, suffering tortures, woken wide awake of reality. So suddenly all the things that Mabel was thinking had vanished for a particular time. She said that she was looking pretty, but yet she felt really miserable. She felt scanty. She felt sordid, and her pleasure, this all these types of pleasure, filled her eyes with tears. So she was happy as well as she was equally sad about everything. And suddenly, there in Mrs. Dalloway's drawing room, she suffering tortures, woken wide awake of reality. She came into reality that there are no such thing as beauty of mind or anything, but she thought that she was entirely looking ugly, and this was somewhere making her what do you say, very weak from inside. She was feeling weak from inside, but it was all paltry, weak blooded, and petty minded to care so much at her age with two children, to be still so utterly dependent on people's opinions and not have principles or convictions, not to be able to say other people did. There's Shakespeare, there's death. We are all weevils in a captain's biscuit, or whatever what the people did say. So we will see her mean small beetle-like insects or with an elongated snout that live on the other food items. So she suddenly was convinced that she looked really very ugly in that particular dress. No matter the dress was really beautiful, but it didn't suit her. So she was started to think what is she was doing overthinking, and one thing led to another. She first compared herself to a canary, which is a type of bird. The canaries are usually yellow in colors, so she felt that she was a canary. Okay, she was a beautiful bird. Miss Milan just tried to pull over the cover, but unfortunately she yet started feeling that something was less in her. Okay, and she was not looking good, she felt, and now she's comparing herself from canary back again to a particular insect which is ugly and dirty. She faced herself straight in the glass. She pecked at her left shoulder. She issued out into a room as if spears were thrown at her yellow dress from all sides. But instead of looking fierce or tragic as Rose Shaw would have done, Rose would have looked like Boadicea. She looked foolish and self conscious and simpered like a schoolgirl and slouched across the room, positively slinking as if she were a beaten mongrel, and looked at the picture and engraving as if one went out to a party to look at a picture. Everybody knew why she did it. It was from shame, from humiliation. Mabel was thinking a number of things about herself which were not straight. She faced herself straight in the glass. She pecked at her left shoulder. She issued out into the room as if spears were thrown at her yellow dress from all sides, but instead of looking fierce or tragic as Rose Shaw would have done, Rose would have looked like Boadicea. So while Mabel was thinking a lot of different things about herself, she was also thinking that the dress wasn't looking very nice on her, and people were looking at if as if she was wearing something else. She was not from their society, she was not from their class, especially Rose, this particular character, where it is mentioned again and again she looked as Boadicea. So Boadicea was this Boadicea, a queen of British Celtic Icenic tribe who led an uprising against the occupying forces of the Roman Empire. So she felt as if she's Boadicea because she was looking good, and somewhere she was telling the other people about Mabel that Mabel wasn't look either. So it looked like Mabel felt foolish and self-conscious, simpered, smile in an affectedly coy or intriguing manner. Means she felt that Rose Shaw also understood that Mabel wasn't looking good, and she wanted to show this our what is the protagonist, that is Mabel, that she was looking really ugly in that particular dress. And somewhere she also started feeling slinking. Slinking here means that moving quietly with gliding steps. She started to move up there from somewhere she was trying to run off from there as if she were a beaten mongrel is here a poor and pitiable person. Somewhere she felt that inside the dress everybody knew that she's wearing a really cheap type of dress, or she wasn't looking good in that particular thing. And out of shame and humiliation means she felt insulted as if everybody was there insulting her. Now the flies in the saucer, she said to herself, right in the middle and can't get out, and the milk thought, rigidly staring at the picture, it's sticking its wings together. So here we can say the condition of Mabel's mind, where she's so immensely negative now that she's feeling that she's like the fly in the saucer. She was just comparing herself with a particular fly, but now she's saying that she's actually a fly in the milk, and milk here means she's the entire party. So the beautiful party, and where this particular fly is there, and she's just trying to what do you say, destroy the party or make the party dirty and so many things. It is so old fashioned, she said to Charles Burt, making him stop, which by itself he hated. On his way, talk to someone else. So Charles was moving out to talk to somebody else, and Mabel just stopped him. It is so old fashioned, he said to himself, and he was actually angry on her that he didn't like. Means nobody would like if you're going to walk to a particular person, you're going to talk to a particular person, and suddenly stops you, and he just says something which is nothing to do with you or whatever you're thinking. It is just so hateful, it is so angry. So Charles' answer was that she tried to make herself think that she meant that it was a picture and not her dress that was old fashioned, and one word of praise, one word of affection from Charles would have made all the difference to her at the moment if he had only said, Mabel, you're looking charming tonight. So, unfortunately, Mabel started thinking that she wasn't old fashioned or her dress wasn't old fashioned. It was her inside the dress who was looking old fashioned. She wanted only one particular word of affection from Charles, that he should say, if he only said, Mabel, you're looking charming, means beautiful. It would have changed her life, but then she thought to have been truthful and direct. Charles said nothing of the kind, of course. He was malice itself. He was malice means his intention was to harm her. He always saw her through one, especially if one were particularly mean, paltry, or feeble minded. So he would look through that means he would speak it directly without thinking, and if you are weak or weak minded or feeble minded, then it would hurt you. Mabel got a new dress, he said, and the poor fly absolutely showed in the middle of the saucer. Really, he would like her to drown, she believed. He had no heart, no fundamental kindness, only a veneer of friendliness. Veneer means he had only an attractive appearance as if he was a friend, but he said something that really hurt her. He said that Mabel's got a new dress, which was really very hurting for her. Shoved here means he forced herself. She got forced herself into the saucer, means here saucer is her depression. Miss Milan was much more real, much kinder, much if one could feel that and stick to it always. Why, she asked herself, replying to Charles much too pertly, letting him that she thought that she was out of temper or ruffled, as he called it, rather ruffled, he said, and went on to laugh at her with the some woman over there. So ruffled here means she was now disturbed. There was disturbance in her mind, and Charles didn't pay many attention to her, and he just went away to talk to some other woman. Why, she asked herself, can't I feel one thing always? I feel quite sure that Miss Milan is right and Charles wrong, and stick to it. Feel sure about the canary and the pity and the love, and not be whipped all round in. And she thought that why couldn't I feel that Miss Milan was right and Charles is wrong? Whatever Charles said about her was everything wrong. She wanted to feel good, she wanted to feel beautiful, but unfortunately she wasn't feeling either. It was her odious, weak, oscillating character again, always giving at the critical moment and not being seriously interested in conchology or etymology, botany, archaeology, putting up potatoes and watching them fructify like Mary Dennis, like Violet Cyril. So these are the many things that she was thinking about, and she was odious, extremely unpleasant condition. She was vacillating, that is wavering between different opinions or actions. So she had got herself into two actions. One is good, one is bad. She had got herself into two opinions. Was one was very good and one was very wrong, and she was thinking about many unnecessary what do you say unknown objects such as the conchology, etymology, botany, archaeology. So these are different subjects which are the study of different things, such as conchology here is the study of shells, etymology origin of words, then botany study of plants, archaeology study of historical things. So she was just overthinking and overthinking and overthinking and confusing herself the more. Then Mrs. Holman, seeing her standing there, bore up down upon her. Of course, the thing like a dress was beneath Mrs. Holman's notice, with a family always tumbling downstairs or having the scarlet fever. So, fever means they were having infectious type of diseases, and Mrs. Holman just came to her. Could Mabel tell her if Elmthorpe was ever late for August and September? Oh, it was a conversation that bored her unutterably. So this Mrs. Holman was some old lady who used to talk about unnecessary thing, and conversations would never end. It made her furious to be treated like a house agent or a messenger boy to make use of it. Not to have value, that was it, and she thought, trying to grasp something hard, something real, while she tried to answer sensibly about the bathroom and the south aspect of the hot water to the top of house, and all the time she could see little bits of her yellow dress in round looking glass, which made them all the size of boot buttons or tadpoles, and it was amazing to think how much humiliation and agony, self-loathing and effort and passionate ups and downs were feeling were contained in the thing the size of a threepenny bit. And was a little still order this thing that Miss Mabel Waring was separate, quite disconnected, and though Mrs. Holman, the black button, was leaning forward and telling her how her eldest boy had strained his heart running, she could see her too quite detached in the looking glass, and it was impossible that the black dot, leaning forward, gesticulating, should make the yellow dot sitting solitary, self-centered feel, and the black dot was feeling, yet they pretended. So both of them were, one was yellow dot, that is Mabel Waring, and second was the black dot, that is Mrs. Holmes. So both had named each other. One was yellow dot, one was black dot. Mabel was yellow dot, and Mrs. Holman was the black button. And both were not present in that particular party. Both were detached. Detached means aloof, having no interest or no involvement in the particular party. Gesticulating here means using gestures, movement of parts of body, especially hand or head. So one was both of them were pretending as if they were listening to each other, but they both were solitary. That is alone, self-centered, thinking about themselves. So impossible to keep boys quiet. What was the kind of thing one said? And Mrs. Holman could never get enough sympathy and snatched what little there was so greedily. So sympathy means that she could get a little bit attention, but whatever attention she wanted it more, as if it were her right, but she deserved much more, for there was a little girl who had come down this morning with a snowy knee joint, took his miserable offering and looked it as suspiciously grudgingly as if there was a half penny when it ought to have been a pound, and put it away in her purse. Must put with it mean and misery. Though it was times being hard, so very hard, and she went creaking, injured, Mrs. Holman, about the girl with the swollen joints. Ah, it was tragic, this greed, this clamor of human beings, like a row of cormorants, barking and clapping, flapping their wings for sympathy. It was tragic. Could one have felt it and not merely pretended to feel it? So there was a number of things that Mrs. Holman was talking about. She was talking about a girl who had come to her with a swollen giant asking for some money, and she couldn't give it because money is something that people usually don't give so easily to people. And they were talking about the cormorants, that is large diving seabirds, flapping their wings, barking, and a number of things. So something which was not related with the what you say the story, or something which is not related to Mabel's stress, something which was just going on between two women, a small talk between two women. But in her yellow dress, so tonight she could not wring out one drop more. She wanted it all for herself. She knew. She kept on looking into the glass, dipping into the dreadfully showing a blue pool. That she was condemned, despised, left like this was backwater because of her being like a feeble, vacillating creature, and it seemed to her that the yellow dress was a penance which she had deserved. She thought herself as a feeble means a weak, vacillating creature, means a creature which is moving all around. And in the yellow dress was a penance. Penance means a voluntary self punishment. So it felt like it was a punishment for her wearing that yellow old fashioned dress, which made her look ugly. And she had observed that if she had been dressed like a Rose Shaw in lovely clinging green with a ruffle of swanson, and would have deserved that, she thought that there was no escape for her, no one that so ever. So she was thinking that everybody in the party should have been praising her yellow dress and how, oh, what do you say, classic she used to look, but unfortunately nothing went as she thought. So suddenly she thought that the idea of wearing this old fashioned old dress was really a penance, that is a self voluntary punishment for her. If she would have dressed like a Rose Shaw in that clinging green with a ruffle of swans and a type of a particular type of style, we can say that, then everybody would have praised her. But it was, there was no out from it. But it was not her fault altogether. After all, it was being one of a family of 10, never having money enough, always skimming and paring, and her mother's carrying great cans and the linoleum worn on their stairages, and one sordid little domestic tragedy after another, nothing catastrophic. So she was now thinking about all about her old childhood days where they were what do you say, they were very poor and they had to pair clothes. Means pairing clothes of means what, when the elders use this clothes, these clothes are given to the junior ones to wear it. In the similar manner, she was thinking about all the things, bad things happened in her childhood, just because she was feeling inferior about everything that is happening with her. And domestic tragedy after another, nothing catastrophic, means nothing of great or sudden damage. The sheep farm failing, but not utterly. Her eldest brother marrying beneath him, but not very much. There was no romance, nothing extreme about them all. They pretended out respectably, dismissed or came to an end gradually, means her brother getting married and soon the marriage ending. So all these things were making her even feel miserable and poor. They ported out respectably in seaside resorts. Every watering place had one of her aunts, even now asleep in some lodging with the front windows not quite facing the sea. So she was trying to find now miseries and poor things, or you can say that she was trying to find sorrows in almost everything. And she had now become so much negative that she was just finding mistakes. That was so like them, they had to squint at things always, and she had done the same. She was always just like her aunts. For all her dreams of living in India, married to some hero like Sir Henry Lawrence, some empire builder, still the sights of native in a turban filled her with romance. So Sir Henry Lawrence is a brigadier general. Sir Henry Lawrence was a British military officer, surveyor, administrator, and statesman in the British India. So her idea was to actually marry some what is a particular person who's on a higher post in British India, maybe a general or maybe a brigadier, someone like that. She had married Hubbard with his safe permanent underling's job in the law courts, and they had managed tolerably in a smallish house with proper maids and hash when she was alone, or just bread and butter. But now and then Mrs. Holman was off, thinking her the most dried up, unsympathetic twig she had ever made, absurdly dressed too, and would tell everyone about Mabel's fantastic appearance now and then. So she was thinking about being married, not being married, being able to marry to a rich person, a powerful person, but unfortunately married with Hubert, her husband, who had a small job in a law court, and somehow they had managed in a very small house because Hubert's salary wasn't much to fulfill her needs or her dreams, and she used to feel that the house is very small, the maids are very less, and she couldn't do anything of her own choice. And when Mrs. Holman, that old unsympathetic, means that mad, or you can say that one who didn't show any sympathy towards Mabel, or didn't make Mabel feel better, just went away, and she is going to tell everybody about Mabel's dirty look or ugly look. Mabel Waring, left alone on the blue sofa, punching the cushion in order to look occupied, for she would not join Charles Burt and Rose Shaw, chattering like magpies and perhaps laughing at her by the fireplace. So she had made it in her mind that everybody in the party was going to talk about how ugly she's going to look, or she was looking in the particular dress. And everybody, even Charles Burt and Rose Shaw, must be talking about the same thing, how Mabel is looking. This is her own thought, this is her own stream of consciousness, where unconsciously she's thinking about all the negative things in the world, where she's at the center place. Now and then there did come to her delicious moments. The other night in bed, for instance, or down by the sea on the sand in the sun. At Easter, let her recall it, a great turf of pale sand grass, standing all twisted like a shock of spears against the sky, which was blue like smooth china egg, so firm, so hard, and then the melody of waves. Hush, hush, they said, and the children shouts paddling. Yes, it was a divine moment, and there she lay. She fed in the hand of goddesses, who was the world, rather a hard-hearted but very beautiful goddess, a little lamb laid on the altar, one thing and the silly things and didn't matter, so long as never said them. And also with Hubert, sometimes she had quite unexpectedly carving the mutton for Sunday lunch for no reason. So she's thinking about a number of things which are of least importance to her, because she's just thinking about one thing leading to the another things. So she is now thinking about the Easter. So it is a festival, the most important festival of the Christian church, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the memory of Jesus Christ. There were people collect a number of eggs, they color them, and it is known as Easter. She was thinking about Easter, she was thinking about the birth of Jesus, she was thinking about a number of things, and how Hubert and her children spending time at a particular beach, how they were eating mutton for Sunday lunch, and suddenly many a things she was discussing. This is it, this was happened, this is it. And the other way around, it was equally surprising that when everything was arranged, music, weather, holidays, every reason for happiness was there, then nothing happened at all. One wasn't happy, it was flat, just flat, and that was all. So in so much also happiness, she managed to find some disgust, some misery, some unhappiness there, and she was just talking about this. So this entire conversation was between her. She was just remembering things and getting bored on all of that. Her wretched self again, and no doubt she had always been a fretful, weak, unsatisfactory mother, a wobbly wife, lolling about a kind of twilight existence with nothing very clear or very bold or more one thing than another, like all her elder brothers and all her brothers and sisters except perhaps her, but they were the same poor water wind creatures who did nothing. So suddenly she went from her childhood directly into her adulthood, where she thought that she was fretful, means she was very weak, unsatisfactory mother. She could not fulfill her children's need. A wobbly wife, that means a poor wife who could not satisfy her needs, and in the existence that something good could happen, unlike her brothers and sisters, except perhaps Herbert, who all of them, means her, maybe Herbert's condition was better than all of them, but everybody was poor. Then, in the midst of this creeping, crawling life, suddenly she was on the crest of a wave, that wretched fly, where she had read the story that kept coming into her mind about the fly and the saucer. Struggled out, yes, she had those moments, but now she was 40. They might come more and more seldom. By degrees she would cease to struggle anymore, but that was deplorable. That was not to be endured. That made her feel ashamed of herself. So, a number of things kept into her mind, a number of things were confusing her, and out of this, she was just particularly thinking about this particular story of the fly and the saucer, and she was just thinking how miserable her life is, how bad her life is, and she kept on feeling and feeling more detached to the world and ashamed of herself. And out of humiliation, she was just sitting alone in one particular corner, looking at the glass, looking down, looking at the glass, looking down. She just made her felt more miserable. So she was thinking about a number of things, how her life was on the crest of wave. That was, there was happiness in her life, confidence in her life, but unfortunately, on the second time, she was thinking about how wretched life she has, as a wretched fly, means a dirty and ugly fly, had how deplorable her life is. That means her bad her life is. She was ashamed of herself, and she did not know till how long she could endure. That means she could tolerate all these things. She would go to the London Library tomorrow. She would find some wonderful, helpful, astonishing book quite by chance, a book by a clergyman, by an American no one had ever heard of, or should walk down the strand and drop accidentally into the hall where a miner was telling about the life in the pit, and suddenly she would become a new person. So she was thinking about a number of things, how she could change her life, maybe fall somewhere or get into an accident or something, but she wanted to become a new person. She would be absolutely transformed. She wanted to get a book, maybe read a book, maybe a American writer's book. She wanted to change herself, somehow change herself. She would wear a uniform. She would be called Sister Somebody. She would never give up a thought of clothes again. And for every after, she would be perfectly clear about Charles Butt and Miss Milan, and this room and that room, and it would be always day after day, as if she was lying in the sun or carving the mutton. It would be it. So now she has just drifted away from the main topic, and she was talking about all the rubbish things in her life, how her life was miserable, how she spent time in her childhood, how she was unhappy with her husband, and how they were poor and couldn't afford these many things. But somehow she wanted to, she was also very optimistic that maybe she could change her life. She would never, she should wear a uniform, she would be called sister somebody. She would never give a thought to clothes again. That means she would never think of buying some clothes again or on her own. And maybe she would get out of these thoughts sent by Charles Burt and Miss Milan out of the room, and she would do this, she would do that, she would be lying in the sun carving the mutton. It would wait. She got up from the blue sofa, and the yellow button in the looking glass got up too, and she waved her hand to Charles and Rose to show them that she did not depend on them one scrap. And the yellow button moved out of the looking glass, and all the spears were gathered into her breast as she walked towards Mrs. Dalloway and said good night. So she just wanted to leave that entire place. She was looking like an yellow button in that particular dress. So she waved her hands like as if I'm going to goodbye. So I'm going from here and don't care what Charles and Rose thought about her. And suddenly all the spears moved towards her chest, and it was a kind of pain for her that she had to go away from there. Mrs. Dalloway and said good night. She walked towards Mrs. Dalloway and said good night. But it's too early to go, said Mrs. Dalloway, who was always so charming. So Mrs. Dalloway's here personality was a charming lady, and she said that why are you going so early? The party has not ended up, so why you're leaving? I am afraid I must, said Mabel wearing, but she added in her weak wobbly voice, which only sounded ridiculous when she tried to strengthen it, I have enjoyed myself enormously. So this entire scene, somehow Mrs. Dalloway thought that why this particular lady is leaving my party when everything is just going on so nice. And Mabel had already lost into her mind. She was so broken into her heart about the dress, and whatever she thought people would say, nothing turned out to be like that. In her weak wobbly voice means she did not have that strength enough to say that I really enjoyed the party. She did not enjoy the party. She had a very bad night, and she somehow just to sound ridiculous means she just sounded foolish that yes, I have enjoyed your party, or I have enjoyed myself enormously like this in a particular way. But she did not enjoy the party. She just wanted to get out from that particular place. She didn't want to listen to anything or feel anything or think about anything. So she just wanted to leave that particular place. So this was the entire idea of Mabel leaving that place. I have enjoyed myself, she said to Mrs. Dalloway, whom she met on the stage. Lies, 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 she said to herself, going downstairs and right in the saucer. So finally, if you think about Mabel's story, that she was thinking as herself as the fly which was drowning in the saucer, and she thought that yes, finally the fly has drowned in the saucer and she is dead now. And she said lies, lies, lies. That is in her mind. She said that what people were going to say about her. She said to herself as she thanked Mrs. Barnett for helping her and wrapped herself around and round and round in the Chinese cloak she had worn these 20 years. So she was wearing this particular type of Chinese cloak, or type of shawl, we can say, that she had been wearing for 20 years. So she just wore it and she left that particular place. And lies, lies, lies are the things that she said to her while leaving. So this was not something that people said to her, it was what she said to herself. So here we end the particular chapter. In the next part, we shall be meeting with the brainstorming question and answers of this particular lesson. So till then, I will take your leave. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, share to maximum people, and do comment in the comment section. Till then, goodbye and be safe.